to the OMG hour.
Welcome, everybody. It's just this is not a show. It's just a number, and it is 385 of the OMG hour. We are a mere 15 episodes away from episode 400. Of course, I am Sean Evans, otherwise known as Zion Tane.
And I am Tico, otherwise known as Seven. I mean, Mr. Second Place. Sorry, I thought we were all just going with numbers.
Just numbers. Now. We're just a number. Everything's just a number. If that's it, then I'm 22. Welcome to the show. I'm 22.
Why do you get to be 22?
Because that's my number.
Is that a good number? Is it the higher your number or the lower your number, the better?
That's just my number. If you ask me what my favorite number is, it's 22.
Well, Sean, you don't look a number over 27.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, you know what people can do before we even start, Sean?
What can they do?
The button where I don't know where it is. I'm going to point here and then here and then here and then here. And then you can edit it. There below you.
Sure.
All right. They can click that button to subscribe right at the beginning, knowing that we're going to be providing such amazing, awesome content. That's already. Right. They can just press the button now.
Imagine the amazing content you'll get after you click subscribe. If you never click it, you'll never know.
Here's the thing. You're going to be busy. At the end of this, you're going to be like, oh, man, I got stuff to do. I forgot it. Now you don't have to worry about it.
Just do it now.
You've pressed the button.
You know what? Let's give them a chance to press it.
Yeah.
All right, good. Nice job.
Good.
Excellent
work.
Now we can move on.
Well, you can tell them about where they can go, because now that they've pressed the button, they can get some entries into our contest. If they go to bit.ly/winboxking, they can enter our contest, which goes to the end of September, too, as well, also.
In addition to.
Okay, that's a little much.
Now we're going too far.
Now we've gone too far. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Yes, and we can do that because they've subscribed, and now we can actually do the show, because you don't know. You don't know what will happen when you hit subscribe. Good things will happen. Yep. And good things did happen. Last week we started playing Kingdoms of Amalur, the Re-Reckoning. And as promised, we actually have footage this week. So now that we've both played it quite a bit, I am probably 10 or more hours into the game. It's a huge game. And you know what's fun about playing it now, Tico, is I don't remember half the stuff that's happening.
No, it's been like, a decade since we played it?
Well, 8 years.
Like a decade.
Like a decade.
Like and 10 years is a number, 10 is a number, and 8 is a number, so it's like a decade.
I made it to a certain area where there's like spiders everywhere, and I walk over the bridge to this little town, and I'm like, I remember this town. I don't know why, but I remember this town.
There's little bits and pieces that are, like, I'm going, it's like, oh yeah.
Oh, you know what I never forgot, though? The beginning of the game, when the game starts and you're dead and they throw you down on this huge body, this big pile of bodies, and you wake up, that was so like almost frightening when the game came out, that I've never forgotten how the game started. You know, it's been ingrained in my mind, but the rest of the game, I really don't remember the main story. I don't remember much at all, and so it's like I'm playing a whole new game. Like,
I remember bits and pieces. I do remember. I remember this mission. I remember having to do that, but like not everything. Enough of it is different.
Yes.
It looks decent. Like, it doesn't look, by any means. It's not like, next gen graphics or anything like that. No. It's but it's playable. There's a few little teensy things about, some of the HUD and stuff like that.
Well, let's just talk about the graphics for just a bit, because like you said,
we will do that then.
It's not a next gen game. No, it is an upscale. It's, they've made it better than the original. And last week I said, and see if you agree with me now that you played more, this looks to me like an online MMO.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's really what it kind of really looks like to me. This is the kind of graphics you get in an online MMO.
This is the type of thing, what it looks like is it feels like they've done, texture and everything to make sure that somebody with a low-end PC can still play and enjoy it. And somebody with a high-end PC is going to look at it like, well, I guess since I'm online, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's more fidelity. There's more like vegetation and stuff that probably wasn't there in the original. I would love to see a side by side. I really want to get the original back into the 360 and see really see what it looked like. I'd love to see that side by side, but I can tell based on 8 years ago, the vegetation wouldn't have looked as lively as it does here. So they've it's definitely been upgraded, more polygons, that sort of thing, right? But it doesn't feel like a game that would be released brand new today. And if it were, it actually wouldn't be a good game if this were literally a brand new game released today. Because, as you said, the UI elements are so dated, and some of the controls are still very dated. I am absolutely hating the map system.
Yeah, it is a awful. weird system where you do not get a good sense. Like, you've got a little mini map, but you don't have a sense of which direction you really have to plan it out. And like, okay, I'm looking this way, and I walk. Okay, now, and so sometimes you're walking forward, but the map you're walking down or sideways on, and it's so hard to orient yourself on the map versus where you are. And I find that,
and the mini map I noticed the other day. So you're a little chevron is your character, and the chevron points in the way you're moving, but the cone points in the way you're looking. So it makes the map really confusing when you just glance at it, thinking, like, I look at the cone thinking that's where I'm going. No, that's where I'm looking. And so I often get confused as to where I'm going on the map. It's so weird. But the other thing I hate, Tico, is as a player of games like this, and I've always done this, I like to finish all the quests in one area before I move to another zone. There is no easy way to know what quests are in the zone you're in right now without physically going into the menu, marking the quest as active, going back to the map, looking where the marker is and saying, nope, that's too far away. Go back into the menu, choose another quest, go back to the map and see where that marker is. It's absolutely asinine that you can't easily see where your quests are on the map.
Yeah. Another thing that I found very frustrating is when you select a quest as active, all it does is make the little quest marker on your mini map glow
yellow.
Yes. Right? But I don't know what it is. I spent one of the quests, I think it was one of the spider quests. It's an early quest, so it's not too, where it tells you to kill spiders and collect their silk for somebody.
Yes, that's about where I am now, yes.
So I was running to the area, whatever, and I'm killing spiders, and they're jumping up, and I'm like knocking them down and everything like that, and I'm like, my inventory's almost full, and I just kept going because it doesn't pop up on the little thing. Normally, there's a little thing that says, hey, your quest. Collect 10 out of 25 spider silks or whatever it is, and it'll show up on the screen for you. It doesn't do that. You have to go back into the menu, look at your quest to see what it is. I forgot what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
So I get to the person, she's like, do you have my spider silks for me? And I'm like, I look at the quest, I'm like, crap, I should have been collecting those from all of those things I've been killing along the way.
Yes.
And I had to go back and do it again.
Because the game does not give you on screen what your step is, what it is you're trying to do. It just gives you a marker, and it doesn't tell you anything on screen as to what the quest is you're currently doing. Where am I going? What do I need to do when I get there?
Yeah.
Like you said, you should have had something that says collect spider silk, 1 of 10 or whatever it is. But it doesn't do that. It's there's a lot of elements in this as an RPG that have been so improved upon over the last 8 years that it really feels like something was missed, even in the upgrading of this game.
Yeah, like these are things that could have been improved when they remastered or re-remastered or whatever they called it.
When they re-reckoned it.
When they re-reckoned it, they could have improved these elements. It really feels like it's just okay. We'll smooth out some of the graphics.
Well,
and
to be fair, that's what they did. This is a remastering. This is not a remake. If they were remaking it, then it would feel like a new game, and we have new controls and new elements in the game. This is not. They didn't add anything to the game. They just remastered it graphically, and this is the re-reckoning. So, honestly, I mean, I'm having fun with the game.
I'm still like I'm on for a couple hours every day.
Yeah,
playing this. I still love playing it.
It's a great game. It was a great game in 2012. It's a great game again now. You know, you have to look past the missing elements that you're used to in a modern RPG, and just realize this is an 8-year-old game that's been remastered, and enjoy it again, because I am enjoying it again. But my ultimate hope is that this isn't just a one-off. I hope this isn't just, hey, let's make some more money on this game we bought. I hope they're actually seriously considering continuing in this world.
A new Kingdoms of Amalur title would be amazing.
Exactly.
We're already getting new DLC for a 12-year-old game or whatever it is.
Right.
We're getting new DLC for this game. So why not make us a whole new game? How hard can that be? Just get it done.
Just get it done. It's that easy.
You know. I've learned that if you just say that to your wife at any point, like, "Hey, can you just take care of that?" They don't care for that.
Just get it done. Will you just look at them and say, "Just get it done"?
I asked my wife, I said, "Could you please take care of that?" But I forgot the "could you please," and I said, "Just take care of that." And I pointed at some dishes that needed to be brought upstairs. And
you're terrible.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Let's just say that much. I did apologize, and I was fully wrong for that. And
wow.
But yeah, but these guys here just take care of that.
Just get it done.
Just get it done.
I have also been playing a game called The Suicide of Rachel Foster. We should say that these games that we're talking about, we got review codes for from the developer or the publisher. Now, The Suicide of Rachel Foster is it's another walking simulator. Ella, Gone Home.
Is this the team that did Ethan Carter?
The Disappearance of Ethan Carter. I think it is. But I'm finding it rather, I don't know, odd. I don't know. There's a couple of things that bother me about it. It is just a story. You play this character who's you're grown up now. As a child, your father had an affair. He was like 48 years old or 46 years old. He had an affair with an 18-year-old, and who was the daughter of a pastor. And then she was, I guess, shamed and guilt-ridden once it came to light. She ended up committing suicide. And the mother took your character, away. And your father owns this hotel. Now that your father is dead, you're now grown up. It's now like 30 years later or 20 years later, maybe. I'm not sure exactly the timeline. It takes place in the early 90s when cell phones are sort of new. But you have inherited this hotel, and all you don't do is sell it. And so you arrive at the hotel, and you have to get the key and inspect the hotel, and then leave. That's all you're intended to do, is just leave. And so you're in this creepy hotel. It's just you. And of course you hear all the creaking sounds. And of course, I don't know about anyone else, but when I'm playing games like this, my mind automatically goes to things like Resident Evil. Right? You expect something to happen.
You're expecting a jump scare.
I'm expecting jump scares. I'm expecting something creepy to happen. And so far it hasn't, mind you. It's the environment that really begs that to happen. This
is The Shining, like the look and feel of this is very The Shining, which I know you haven't seen yet, but this big hotel that you're sort of wandering around in. It's this creepy empty hotel, and empty. It's like a haunted house, like if a creepy old decrepit house. That just seeing the scenes from this remind me so much of The Shining. It's embodied that sort of expectation of something around the corner.
Yeah. So as you're going through it, you find little things that you can pick up and little clues, and you start piecing stories together about Rachel, and you end up investigating Rachel's suicide. And there's some people who believe that she isn't really dead, and so you're trying to research this and find out the clues here in this hotel, because some strange things are not. I wouldn't say strange things are happening. I would say you're finding strange things that you have questions about. and so you're trying to piece things together. So from a walking simulator point of view, I like it. From the technical point of view, there's things that I am really frustrated with. For example, the walking speed itself is unbelievably slow, and you know how I feel about games like that. It is
Red Dead Redemption all over again?
Yes, it is so slow. Like, why does she have to walk so slowly? Like, I don't get it. It just a little, just increase that pace so I feel like I'm getting somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
And the other thing that's weird is the story is being told through your character, your voiceover, and this other person on the cell phone that you find that was left there, and he's sort of taking care of the sale. You know, he's working with the attorney, that sort of thing. And he lives in the area, so he knows the history. He knows what happened with her father and all of it. Like, the whole town knows this history. And so you're constantly on the phone with this guy, talking back and forth. And it's like every 2 feet, the phone rings again. Or she picks up the phone and calls him. And there's one particular scene where you're investigating clues. She picks up the phone and calls him and says, listen, I'm looking at some stuff. I'm going to have some questions. Or I have some questions. He says, okay, no problem. I'm here. She puts the phone away. And then when I click on an item, she picks up the phone and calls him again. It's like this constant picking up and putting down the phone in between conversations. And it's like, it gets annoying. Like, seriously.
It would have done better with a walkie-talkie or something.
Or, yeah.
Similar to how Firewatch had their communication back and forth when it was required.
Exactly. It wasn't constantly picking up a phone and talking. And literally, there was it was so ridiculous, this one point, Tico, where she said, listen, I've got some questions. And he says, no problem, I'm here. Click. Like, wait, what? And then I clicked on a clue, and she calls him back and asks about that particular clue that I clicked on. Right? But it was like, what?
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, I talk like I am. These are nitpicky things. It doesn't take away from the game itself. The game does deal with suicide. And what's involved and what brings people to suicide. I am on I believe I'm on chapter 5 or 6. It's told in chapters or in days. It's like day 1, day 2, day 3. Also, sometimes the days just end abruptly. You do a particular thing, and all of a sudden the screen goes black, and it tells you it's the next day, and it throws you back up in your room. It starts you right back up in your room you grew up in. And the only way you know how to get around this hotel is these blueprints that you're carrying around, which is essentially your map for like 4 different floors. Yeah. And so it's a very large area. But there's no way for you to know, like, I guess it's more realistic because you have a map in front of you or a blueprint of the hotel in front of you, and you need to know where you are on the map in order to figure out where to go. It doesn't tell you on the map where you are. It's just a map.
So you're just looking at the map. So, like, if you don't know that you're in the kitchen, you don't have a point of reference. You don't have a you are here.
There is no you are here. You need to know where you are in order to figure out where to go. The game looks great. It looks very good. But I have some nitpicky things with it. And I don't find it as fascinating, Tico, as something like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter or Gone Home, for example. I found those games extremely fascinating. I'm finding this a very slow burn, which is a detriment to the storytelling and keeping my interest.
Yeah.
Right? It starts out way too slow and way too finicky and just go here, do this, go here, do this. And because
why is the fridge so far from the dining room?
What? It's a kitchen. It's a hotel.
Yeah, I know, but like the dining room, you'd figure you'd want the fridge closer. You got to bring that food to the dining room. That's not a good layout.
That's the fridge for the kitchen, which is beside the dining room. It's a hotel, Tico. It's not a room. Anyway, that is The Suicide of Rachel Foster. If you enjoy just these kind of games, a walking simulator, mystery, solving mysteries, finding clues, absolutely give it a try. If you don't care about the little nitpicky stuff that I've mentioned, absolutely give it a try. Because it is well done. There's some things that kind of drive me nuts about it. That's all. How about you, Tico? Did you play anything?
Well, yeah, I played Kingdoms of Amalur. We talked about that already.
But okay. Something else.
I also played a game called Metamorphosis.
Yeah, this is creepy.
So it is creepy. So
you're a spider.
A cockroach, I think.
Ew, even worse. Are you serious?
So and here's what it is. You start as a man. Like, you start as a man and you're walking around, and then as you're walking, you start walking through and this is like the very beginning of the game. Is like you get up from bed and you walk around and you see like a hole in the wall. As you start walking closer, you get smaller and the hole gets bigger as you transform into this cockroach.
Oh, I thought you were a spider. Cockroach is even worse. Well, I don't even know what's worse, a spider or a cockroach.
I hate spiders, so we'll go with spiders.
But cockroaches, do they climb up? Well, yeah, I guess they do.
So here's the thing with this. So it's one of the elements. You early on find out that if you walk through a sticky substance like glue, you can use that. So then you'll hold down left trigger to do your walk up these flat surfaces. Otherwise, you have to either try to jump or find another way around. So it is puzzle-based-esque bug crawling. So this is based off of platformer, yeah.
3D platformer where you're a bug.
Yeah, so this is based. This is an interesting. Metamorphosis is a book by Franz Kafka.
Oh,
it is the book of a man named Gregor who turns into a bug. And it apparently, I this is just briefly that I read up to see what it was. This is a book where he wrote about himself. So how he identified, I guess, as a cockroach, and it's a very weird of surreal concept for a game, but it's you are it's basically the different puzzles and stuff that you have to solve as a roach. You can get sticky stuff for your feet. There's lamps and stuff like that you can hold and like turn knobs to either open valves or close valves or stuff like that. And you're trying to get to the tower, and you talk to other bugs along the way. And they all have like deep, gravelly, like bug voices that you have to read the subtitles for.
As bugs do. I mean, bugs always have gravelly voices, right?
As bugs do, and it is a very odd game.
I love the concept of everything being huge. I love the video you were showing at the beginning. You're in this room on a shelf, and everything's just huge. You're crawling out books and bottles and stuff. Yeah. I love that concept. Like that. What's that backyard game that was just released or is coming soon, where you've been shrunk? Your kid's in a backyard. Grounded. Yeah. I love that idea of everything that's normal suddenly being massively huge.
And it's really cool because you're in like the room and you're trying to get from one area to another, and you have to figure out as a bug, how do I get up there?
Yeah.
What can I climb up? I can't climb upside down. I need to get the sticky stuff to be able to climb up straight up surfaces and stuff like that. But then once you get into the walls of the house and stuff like that, and there's this little bug universe there where these guys are like, these other bugs are in there eating random stuff, and it's all grimy and gritty. Like, you think this is what the inside of the walls will look, and your house would look like. So like you've got your surfaces up front, but then cracked walls and peeling wallpaper and gross slimy.
See, now I want a remote control bug that I can crawl into my walls with.
Or just make yourself really small.
No, I don't want to go in there myself. I want a remote control bug to go in there.
I'll see what I can do.
Thanks.
I'll make some calls.
Tico, just get it done.
Get it done? Okay.
So, you recommend?
It's a weird game. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm enjoying it. Like, it's kind of neat to try to figure out how do I get from here to there. It is a very odd story that it's following along with, but I'm enjoying the going through of the game. I would say, yeah, like. I think it's under $20, so I think it's worth checking out, particularly if you are a fan of Bohemian literature
and just regular 3D platformers, I guess, right?
No, just the literature.
Just literature. You don't have to enjoy 3D platformers.
You don't have to.
Okay.
You can.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, let's talk about the PlayStation 5 for a little bit, because it was there was
heard of it.
You have heard of it. Yeah, it's just a small thing coming out later this year. But anyway, Sony had another showcase on Wednesday. And they finally, of course, at the end of it, they showcased a lot of fun, a lot of great games. They showed amazing in-game. A lot of it was all in-game, captured on the PS5. Spider-Man Miles Morales showed gameplay from it. It looks absolutely fantastic. It really reminded me a lot, because of Miles's powers. They're not exactly the same as Peter Parker's. So it really reminded me a lot of like Infamous First Light. Or Infamous Second Son, with the color, the light powers and stuff, because he's got some light powers that he can kind of shoot off. Electric shock. Yeah, electric shock and stuff. So it really reminded me of that. And I believe it's the same developer anyway, so obviously it's in their wheelhouse for that kind of thing. But looks amazing, really great gameplay. Hogwarts Legacy. Now, this was a surprise to me. This is not a console exclusive, but Hogwarts Legacy, a full-on RPG set in Hogwarts, in Harry Potter's Hogwarts in the 1800s, long before the stories of the books or the movies. Man, I am all in on this.
It's very interesting. So there's a ton of hate for this game right now.
Why?
Not because of the game itself, but because
of J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Like she's obviously, she is persona non grata right now. She is not well liked right now. People are bashing this game because they don't want her collecting it, to the point that Warner Brothers actually released a statement saying that she had nothing to do with the production of. She's not involved with the production of this game, just because they want people to be aware this game has nothing to do with her. Yeah. I'm guessing she's still collecting a couple of bucks on the back end for the
She would have to IP. Be. It's licensed, the IP, right?
I know people are
she's been going off on a lot of like anti-trans sentiments and stuff, and people just like she's speaking a lot of basically hate speech against certain individuals.
And it's so disappointing, because the Hogwarts and the Harry Potter universe is such an amazing universe at the end of it, and it's being ruined because of
the actual author.
Of the actual author, and so there are people who are going to not play this game, who are going to not play this game because of that, to try to avoid giving her.
You know money. What? I get it, but I have never seen products like that personally. I don't have to agree with the person who created something in order for me to enjoy what they produced, because what they produced is wholly separate from what they believe. You know what I mean?
Well, usually, depending on exactly what the sentiments, but I don't believe the sentiments of Harry Potter come across to portray her belief system.
Right, exactly. Harry Potter is not anti-trans. There is nothing about the books that were anti-trans, and so as much as the trans people may hate what she's saying, and I would be with them, it shouldn't sully their enjoyment of and what they grew up with. And if it meant something to them then, keep that.
The only issue right now is trying to take money out of her pocket. The problem is she's a billionaire already.
I know.
You're not making a dent at this point by not buying
a $60 game.
Yeah.
But anyway, Hogwarts Legacy, I believe this may be a game they've actually been trying to make for years. There's always been talk about an Harry Potter RPG.
Yeah, I've seen, I think that some of the elements, there was a Harry Potter Connect title. Some of the elements went into that at one point.
But I'm happy to see this. This looks great. I'm really excited about this. So that was announced during the PlayStation showcase. Final Fantasy XVI was announced, so that's awesome. I loved 15. This is apparently going to be a console exclusive for PlayStation, and it's also going to be on PC. So it's PC, but console exclusive to PlayStation 5. It looked very early. I mean, it's Final Fantasy. We're not going to see it for another 5 years, right? It's going to take forever to get out, but I'm excited. It looks more. So the latest one, Final Fantasy 15, was more like a modern world. This one looks more like they're going back to the roots of sort of that medieval world, which I enjoy. I prefer my RPGs like this to be in like a medieval world, not a modern world. I find RPGs in a modern world strange.
In that sort of weird
because it's
crossover world.
Because it's magic and all this stuff that doesn't, in my mind, fit in a modern world. You know what I mean?
Well, I disagree with you. I think that there can be magic in the world of modern times, Sean.
Okay, great.
There you go.
They ended the show with a God of War Ragnarok teaser, so a new God of War coming. I'm sure everyone's excited for that who have played God of War. You know, the first God of War that I truly loved, because it was a completely different game than the originals. And wow, yeah, God of War Ragnarok is coming, so that's going to be awesome. They also announced, which I thought was, I was actually looking at the screen, eyes wide open, like I could not believe what they were announcing. Now, granted, it's not nearly as good as something like Xbox Game Pass, but
it's a start.
It's a start. PlayStation 5, the moment you buy your PlayStation 5, you will get access to over 15 games. From both Sony's their own party and third-party titles, including and I'm talking if you have a PlayStation Plus membership, as soon as you buy a PS5, you will have access to God of War, The Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted 4, Battlefield 1, Monster Hunter World, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, The Last Guardian, Ratchet and Clank, Infamous Second Son, Days Gone, Bloodborne, Detroit Become Human, Batman Arkham Knight, Mortal Kombat X, Persona 5, Until Dawn, and Resident Evil Biohazard. All for free, basically, with your membership to PlayStation Plus. That is a huge set of games to just say, here you go, day one.
Yeah, it's a nice chunk of games. Yeah. I mean, it's not the hundreds that you get with Game Pass, but it is a good number of good games that they've got here.
They're all high rated games too. They're not just random games. These are all very well received games.
It's not a bunch like here's 20 shareware titles for you or anything like that. It's some really good stuff.
That's what I liked about it, was the fact that these were all AAA highly rated games.
Yeah, I mean, the downside to this, just as somebody who, likes to point out the downside to things, is that if you're a PlayStation 4 guy already, you've played all these. You've got all these.
All of them.
You've got all of them already.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's not like I would have loved to see one of the titles in here be one of their launch titles. Like, hey, also for free, you're getting
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man would be a huge.
And why isn't Spider-Man in that list? The first one.
Yeah.
Why isn't Spider-Man in that list? Because Miles Morales is coming.
Right, that should be in there, absolutely. But yeah, they should have had at least one PS5 game in that bundle. So you're getting with those games something brand, and maybe listen, we've still got time. November 12th, so we've got time.
Yeah.
For them to make, hey, added to the PlayStation collection is
Well, that's what it's just. It's called the PlayStation Collection. This doesn't replace PlayStation Plus monthly games. Right. That's in addition to. These is simply, as soon as you buy a PlayStation 5, you have this collection you can immediately download and play. And on your point, November 12th, they announced November 12th, 2 days after Xbox, is PlayStation 5. And they are coming out at a price. The digital edition is $399 US. The full edition with the disc drive, with the Blu-ray, is $499. So exactly the same price as the Xbox. $100 cheaper without the hard drive or without the Blu-ray drive. And at first I'm like, wow, they really didn't try to beat the Xbox One S. And then I realized, well, of course they didn't, because the difference is the digital edition of the PlayStation 5 is exactly the same hardware. It just doesn't have the disc drive. Right. Whereas the Xbox One S is actually lower specs. Right, it's not 4K
than the Series X. Now, I did see somewhere, and I don't know if this is accurate, so I'm giving it 100% putting my money behind this, that the Series S is still a more powerful system than the PlayStation 5.
That is absolutely not true.
I can say whatever I want. I'm like a reporter in the U.S. now. You just say whatever you want.
No, it's nowhere. It's nowhere near the power. If you look at the specs, it's nowhere near.
I haven't looked at the specs. I saw that written down somewhere. I'm like, why would that make sense? Why would Sony do that? It didn't make sense.
That is absolutely a load of bull.
All right, so let's talk about how us Canadians get screwed on the conversion.
Well, so we talked last week. The Xbox actually, it was cheaper for us if you buy it here because it's $5.99, right? And then it's $3.79 or something for the S.
Right.
So $5.99 for the full on. Okay, and if we compare that to the full-on PS5 in Canadian price, it's $629. It's $30 more than the Xbox One X.
Right.
It's $500 Canadian for the digital-only version.
So it's $100 more there. So if you compare, they went up $80 on their lowest edition. They went up $80 in the conversion rate, and $130 for Sony to go up on their versus 100 on the higher version.
So we are definitely Sony is adding a lot more to the Canadian price than Xbox did. I think that's pretty typical for Sony, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Sony usually adds.
It's actually still cheaper than the PS4 at launch.
Yes, it is, and it's actually still cheaper than the US price converted.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, the U.S. price converted is $670, I think.
Man, does our dollar ever suck?
Right? So we're still getting a better deal than if we paid U.S. for it.
Right.
But it's like Xbox at 500 or 600, Sony at 630. So
it's the number you see on the price tag. It's starting with a 5 and starting with a 6.
It makes a huge difference.
It's $30, but mentally it's just like if that had been $600 versus $599, you'd be like, Sony, what are you thinking?
Right.
But it's $30 more, and you're like, I mean, I can afford $30 more, but it's just the principle of the thing.
Let me tell you, I am absolutely thrilled that my wife works at Walmart. So, and not only that, but Walmart usually gives employees these coupons to use around Christmas for a more discount on one item. So I may be using a coupon to buy my PS5. So I'll save even more. Unfortunately, it's literally like you can use this coupon to save whatever it is on one item, not a purchase. Not a whole purchase. I can't go grocery shopping with it.
Yeah.
One item gets that extra discount. So I am hoping that one item that I can get a discount with is my PS5. So I did not pre-order it. Pre-order is such a hassle right now. It was up for a day and then no one could get it and sites were crashing and
now it's sold out everywhere.
Now it's sold out everywhere. So I'm just going to go into the store on day one and see if it's there. I'll go in with my wife when she goes into work.
Yeah. Or go in the day before and hide one somewhere in the back room.
They won't be out yet. Believe me, they will be bringing them out the morning of.
That's what I mean. Go into the back room. I know where they keep him in the back room. I know where the cage is. I can't
go in the back room.
I know where the cage is.
Actually, you know what? Dorothy sometimes works in receiving. So she may receive it the day before.
Just put a little hold for Sean right on the side of that
sign
box.
On there. Anyway, one other thing that was announced this week that was a surprise to me. I didn't even know this was coming at all. But Facebook held a showcase.
Facebook Connect Live.
Facebook Connect Live, yeah, which I didn't even know was happening. But they announced the Oculus Quest 2, which I didn't even know they were working on. It releases October 13th, so a month after the new console. This is going to be an expensive Christmas. A month after, it boasts 50% better resolution, so it's got all the bits. You know what? I didn't even know this was coming, but as soon as I read about it and I read the specs, and then they did their Facebook Connect, and they announced Sniper Elite VR for the Oculus Quest. Ubisoft announced an Assassin's Creed and a Splinter Cell specifically designed for VR, wholly new games specifically designed for VR coming to the Oculus Quest 2. I was sold.
Yeah, Sean's like, all right, here's my money.
Like, just take
my money.
Take my money. I want it now.
It's like, listen, I'm just going to leave my credit card with you guys.
Yeah.
And
it's like, wow. So I'm excited. October 13th. I am seriously considering getting it. A friend of mine has the current Quest. And it's amazing. I've played it. I love it. It's you can go as far as I'm aware. I don't know for sure if you can, but you could take this outside to your backyard and use your entire backyard for VR because it is a standalone unit. There's no computer. There's no computer attached to it. It is the computer. It's all in the visor,
Yeah.
And I think you can get a wearable battery pack to extend its life.
There's battery packs. There's also a link cable so you can actually connect it to your VR-enabled PC.
Yes.
Which lets you then get the
Steam games.
The Rift. Yeah, the Rift experience.
Yeah, exactly. So you can use it as a Rift, but it's so amazing. Like you draw in your room, you sell it where your boundaries are. And when you set it up, when you turn it on, you draw your boundaries, and it will warn you if you're hitting your boundary or approaching your boundary. So, I would this would be amazing to go outside into the backyard because with this, you literally get that 360-degree experience. You're not tethered to, like the PlayStation, you're not tethered to facing the camera. You're tethered to nothing. You can look in all directions and actually move in VR, to the extent of your boundary. So if you want to walk in game, you can physically walk in the game. It's so cool. I've played it. I've kind of always wanted one, but never really wanted to shell out the money for it. I am seriously considering getting an Oculus Quest 2, specifically because of Sniper Elite, Assassin's Creed, and Splinter Cell. I am excited.
There was a price drop announced as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the Quest 2 was announced at $299 US.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I mean the Canadian price was I think $459.
Is it $459? No.
Yeah.
No, it's $399. $399 at Best Buy.
Oh, they've dropped it. Okay, it was announced at $459.
No, I saw it on Best Buy. It's $399 because my buddy who has the Quest now, he's already pre-ordered it from Oculus. Yeah. And with shipping and tax, it was $465, which would be the same as if he bought it from Best Buy, $4 difference or something. So no, it's $400. So it's only $100 more in Canada, which is like Microsoft pricing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so even better to get us into those VR.
But that's fantastic.
Games.
Think about this, because was it 5 years ago when I bought PlayStation VR? It was almost $700.
Yeah, it was. I remember how much that was, and I'm excited about being able to try out a few things like watch. I mean, I know you don't care about sports. I know you don't care about sports. But
why are we talking sports all of a sudden?
There's some cool things like that you can do where you can watch sports where they've got a 3D camera set up in a spot at courtside at the NBA game. So you put your glasses on and it puts you into that seat. Mm-hmm. So you can turn and look around and it's like you're courtside at the game.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Like actually watching live sports in VR. Yeah.
Yeah. So like stuff like that has me excited. The idea of being able to just watch movies in like a big screen environment sort of thing. Like I know it doesn't work as smoothly.
Well, but the problem is that the resolution isn't like you would get on your television.
Yeah.
So it's not as nice watching even though it's a massive screen virtually. It's not as clear, it's not as perfect as watching like your 4K TV or even your 1080p TV.
Yeah, but if I'm upstairs in bed and I want to watch something, it's not the 20-inch TV I've got up on the stand there.
That's fair. And you're not bothering your wife while she's trying to sleep.
I don't care about that.
Or she's taking care of the dishes that you've told her to do.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble.
Just get on that. All right, well, let's move on to some television and movie talk. I want to keep on our weekly discussion of Lovecraft Country because this show so deserves to be spoken about every week because it is so weird.
Here's the thing. Normally, if we start watching a new show, we don't really talk about it every week.
No.
But basically, Lovecraft Country is a new show every week. It's a different genre, so we have to bring it up every week because it's basically, a different type of horror. This week was
it also feels
body horror.
But it also feels a bit of like a train wreck because As I said last week, this show doesn't know what it wants to be.
Can't look away. I enjoyed this week's episode as a standalone, and it was a standalone episode, but I had a real hard time equating why did we go through that full episode to get the tiny little reveal at the end, which was cool.
The last 5 minutes of the episode actually progressed the story. There was 2 stories. One of those stories, Tico, had absolutely nothing to do with the overarching mythology. It was like, what was the point of that story, and why should I care about this character and that story?
Yet, Sean, yet. I don't know. We don't know. Like, it could be like, oh, it's a good thing they told us about all that. Otherwise, this wouldn't make sense.
I don't know how it's going to tie in. No, but being honest, can you look at that second plot and actually think of any way that would make sense in the overarching mythology?
I don't really have any semblance of how that was.
Exactly.
It was going to do anything for the plot other than, I mean, it's building building character arcs and stuff like that. But I mean, where is that going in the story? And I think that's the thing is the overall first 2 episodes brought us this huge, grandiose sort of story, and then they're like, and we're going to touch on that like a little bit maybe in episode 3, tiny bit in episode 4, 30 seconds in episode 5.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on?
And I think that we have to start watching these as separate standalone stories that might have some information in them that we may reference back to at some point.
Here's the mentality we need to go into it. We need to go in treating this like we're watching, say, the X-Files. Right? X-Files is like a perfect example because they're all individual episodes, but every now and again you will get the overarching anthology episode. You'll get an episode that actually pushes the anthology along. Right? You know, with the alien abduction and just the whole alien thing with X-Files was something that went through the entire series. Right? But it was only touched on 2 or 3 times a season. Other than that, they're all standalone, wacky adventures of Mulder and Scully. And I feel like we need to go into Lovecraft Country with that same idea. That these are just standalone stories with characters from the world.
Yeah.
And every now and again, we're going to get a piece of information for the anthology.
Think about it like The Simpsons. You watch The Simpsons, you have all of the things. We don't get a story about Barney every week.
Right.
But sometimes we do. And that's what it is. We have to think of it as
this was the Barney episode.
This was the episode about Barney, and that's what we just have to treat this on. Like it's not something that we will have full understanding of all the time. Sometimes we have that Barney episode. It's like, why did we have that Barney episode? And you find out like 8 seasons later that was tying into him marrying Marge's sister or something like that.
Right. Oh my god.
And now we know.
Yeah. So other than Lovecraft Country, Dorothy and I are actually we're blazing through NCIS. We are into season 13, and we're blazing through it so fast that we started watching a couple of months ago, I think, and we watched 3-4 episodes a night. We're really, really enjoying it. And we're watching an episode recently when McGee says something to Abby. Abby, that was 11 years ago, right? When they dated, basically 11. Yeah. And Dorothy and I was like, "Holy crap, that was 11 years ago." This is season 13. We've watched it in such a short amount of time that when they say something happened 11 years ago, our mind goes, it's like, what?
Yeah, it is weird when you watch something from beginning to, like, we're watching Married with Children right now.
Yeah.
And we are like, I think on season 7 already. And it's just to watch from 1 to the end. It's like, that was, and it's still like it was all back in the 90s anyway.
Yeah.
Just such a weird feeling to watch old stuff, but it like all encompassed in such a short period of time.
Yeah. You know what's I don't know, comforting to watch, to see in shows that took place in the 90s, like Friends and Married with Children, is just the fact that there's no technology. There's no cell phones or laptops or all these, you know what I mean? It's just, there's something comforting about watching the shows that took place back then without all of these things that we're so used to now.
And it's weird because you don't notice it when they're not there. Like you can go through I don't notice that they don't have a DVD player and that you don't really notice it. But then when you watch something that's sort of in that middle range a little more, and they pull out like an old clunky cell phone, you're like, ooh.
Or like they did on Friends. This is what made me realize that on Friends when I was watching it was Joey picked up a phone book to look something up. I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
Or like somebody uses a pager.
Yeah, right?
Like,
I don't know. Oh. There's always just, I don't know, there's just something, I don't know, just comforting about watching those shows, kind of bringing you back to those days before everything was, boom, 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 instant. Before nothing was instant back then,
And the other thing with Married with Children, too, is the vulgarity of the show, but still not that offensive.
Not anymore.
When you compare it to stuff like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and stuff like that they have out now, that would be like people like, whoa, we can't.
Well, that's it, right? If you look at, you brought up The Simpsons earlier. If you look at The Simpsons, back when The Simpsons first started 28, 30 years ago, do you remember how all up in arms parents were about that show because of how Bart treated Homer? Do you remember that? Yeah. And how Bart spoke? It was not crude in any way, shape, or form, but it was such a shock, and now we've got things like Family Guy. We've got, what's the other cartoon with You Killed Kenny?
South Park?
South Park, thank you. My mind went blank. But I remember watching South Park the day it aired and was completely shocked that this was a cartoon on television.
And we're watching it now, and I mean, people will get offended because there's fat jokes and stuff like that in it. I mean, I find most of them to be like hilarious coming from Al. It's like, the one where the woman says like, how dare you say that to my face? He said, well, I'll say it behind your back, but I've only got a half a tank of gas. And it's stuff like that. It's vulgar and mean, and it's just from the times. It's funny.
I know. And it holds up well because it's so not offensive anymore or crude. Like, it's not as crude as it was back then.
Yeah.
Which is also a terrible thing to say about society. The fact that
it's gotten worse.
It's gotten so much worse that is no longer considered crude. Like, that's a whole nother story.
And like little things, the fact that like even in the opening credits, like Peg's smoking a cigarette and puts it out in the salad and stuff like that. And like, think of the last time you saw anybody actually smoking a cigarette on television. I think
there's rules you can't smoke on television now. I think that's I may be wrong.
There is. You have to get special approval for like a period piece to have it included now. But like, you can't show smoking on television.
And isn't there something about drinking on television too? You can't actually show people drinking?
It's certain age ranges and stuff like that that they can do. It'll affect your rating, like your PG-13, whatever, all those ratings based off of the stuff you put in it.
Well, speaking of PG-13, hopefully it's not that, but Disney Plus has announced that She-Hulk has been cast. They have cast Tatiana Maslany. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but she played Orphan Black. She has the lead role for She-Hulk coming to Disney Plus sometime in the next 10 years.
Yeah, so she will be Jennifer Walters.
Yes, and
cousin of Bruce Banner.
Apparently today, Mark Ruffalo tweeted out, "Welcome to the family, cuz."
Yeah,
which was kind of neat, right?
Which is awesome. Yeah, so that again, it's nice that that's going to be part of that same universe.
Yes, no, it's great. I actually really hope that Mark Ruffalo is on the show. Or
I hope so too. Well, that's how she gets her powers, right?
True. That's right, because he has to give her a blood transfusion.
Yeah, and that's how, so it's tainted blood from the blood transfusion, and that's how she turns into She-Hulk. And
so I think they'd have to get Mark Ruffalo in at least in the first episode.
Yeah. Well, what's he doing these days?
What's he doing anyway? What's Professor Hulk doing these days anyway? My understanding, Tico, is that the reason why the Hulk hasn't had his own movie is because the Hulk title is still tied up with another, was it Paramount or something?
Yeah.
And the rules are that Disney can do, they can do a television show with the Hulk, but they're not allowed to do a feature film.
They can't do a feature film. They can't do a feature film with him as the lead. He can be part of an ensemble cast.
He can't be the lead in a film, but he can be the lead on television. So there's speculation that they may be looking at a Hulk Disney Plus show.
You really need one if you're getting a She-Hulk show, though.
But I don't think so. I think Hulk is great being in all the other episodes, in the other movies. You know, like
I would
Ragnarok. He was literally one of the main characters in Ragnarok.
It depends on the story you're telling. If you're going to do a Planet Hulk story, and do a movie for that, then that would be great as a movie. I don't know if that works as a TV series.
Well, Ragnarok was kind of Planet Hulk anyway, right?
Well, I mean, there's more Hulks on Planet Hulk.
Wow, that's true.
You know, there was only one Hulk in Ragnarok, but that was the warrior Hulk from Planet Hulk that you saw on Ragnarok.
Okay.
I wouldn't be opposed to it as a movie. I wouldn't be opposed to it to be honest with you. If you're going to make it, I'll watch it.
Of course. But I agree with you.
I'm not going to watch a Hulk TV. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. That's what'll happen. I'll watch it.
But I agree with She-Hulk. Do you need a Hulk show?
Yeah, like it's very similar, and the Hulk, like unless you're going to go with refined Hulk from the movies, like it's how much like Professor you're not going to have him revert.
No, yeah. I don't know. There was something weird about Professor Hulk in Endgame. It was just, I don't know. It's just. I didn't like not seeing Bruce. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was weird. And I like my Hulk to smash.
Yeah, I like the whole Hulk smash.
I hope that when they bring Wolverine back into the to the MCU, that they do the Wolverine Hulk origin story battle from the very early Wolverine stories. That would be awesome to finally get that, because we haven't been able to see that yet.
I am anxiously awaiting to hear how they're going to bring Fantastic Four and X-Men into the MCU and explain it. Like, I think a lot of the thoughts and my theory is they're going to use the multiverse somehow after Doctor Strange, to explain why they're suddenly in that world. Because after everything that's happened, to have this new team suddenly show up, it would seem weird, right?
Well, and it's not just new team, because it's new team, new villains,
everything. Yeah.
Mutants in general that aren't,
Yes.
The whole concept of these universes colliding means you need to actually get two universes.
Right, or multiple universes, which I kind of hope is where they're going with Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
I mean, DC did it already in the Arrowverse. They brought the multiverse together for their particular characters. The multiverse still exists according to WB, and that's where all the other Warner Brothers stuff exists, is in this
VW.
I did say VW.
Volkswagen. Volkswagen has a say now.
It's the Volkswagen world. But yeah, that's anyway. I think that's enough chatting for today, Tico.
Fine, I'm done with you as well.
I've had enough of you. Thank you, everybody. This has been episode number 385 of the OMG Hour. Give us a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you're right here on the YouTubes with us. If you're not on the YouTubes, if you're listening to our audio, come on, check us out on YouTube. We have so much stuff going on between flipping tables and kicking tables. YouTube.com/OMG Nexus. You can follow the show on Twitter at the OMG Hour. The website is at OMG Nexus. We're also on Facebook as OMG Nexus, and I am Ziantane everywhere. And that is XIANTAYNE. I forgot how to spell my name.
It's written there. You pointed at it, and you messed it up.
That's what threw me off, because I pointed and actually looked and then forgot what I was saying.
Go ahead, say it one more time in English.
XIANTAYNE.
And I'm Mr. Second Place, and I'm not spelling it. You can follow the
you don't need to spell it. It's Mr. Second Place.
It's Mr. Second Place with letters and no numbers. So, figure it out. Follow our board game stuff on Instagram at Flipping Tables with OMG.
Yes. And that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk at you later.
Bye, guys.
I hit the wrong button, Tico. But you know what button our viewers can what? Oh my gosh. Viewers, press that button right there and subscribe. We would love you. Subscribe. We love you forever.
Sean, spell subscribe.
SUBSCRIBE.
Hey, good job.
And that's what you should do.
That's what you should.